I don't know why it is this way. It's just how we're wired as humans, I guess. But it seems to me, from my personal experience and the observation of others, that we are most drawn to God, if I can use that phrase, most interested in God when we're in the more difficult seasons of life. And the question that we need to ask as we look at the couple of verses we'll consider today is, how do we respond when we find ourselves in difficult seasons of life? This is the Mighty Oaks Daily Devotional. My name is Jeremy Stalnecker, your host for this daily devotional. And we are looking at Psalm 78, verses 32 through 35 today. Psalm 78, 32 through 35. We looked at the first part of Psalm 78 yesterday. And as we did, we considered that the children of Israel, they were in the wilderness, and they asked the question, can God provide for us here in the wilderness? And the answer was absolutely. And we see that outlined. We get to verse 32, though, and we find these words. For all this, for all what? All this, all the provision, all the stuff God did, for all this, they sinned still and believed not for his wondrous works. Isn't that amazing? God gave them everything they needed in the wilderness, miraculously, like water from a rock, manna from heaven, birds out of nowhere flying to where they were so they had meat to eat. And still, they sinned and believed not his wondrous works. Verse 33, therefore, their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquired early after God, and they remembered that God was their rock, and the high God their Redeemer. This is such a clear picture of how most of us have lived. God provides, he supplies, we're still a little disgruntled. And so what does God do? He allows us to spiral, to get into a place where we have no option but to look to him. And in that moment, we look to him and we see clearly again that he is God, our Redeemer. I wish it wasn't this way. I wish that we were able to stay focused on who God is and what God's about and how he's provided for us, even when things are going well. That's certainly the importance of surrounding ourselves with the right people and staying in the Word and walking with the Lord, and hopefully we can do that. But there's something about things going well that if we're not careful can cause us to drift. But in those moments where we get ourselves into a situation where we've taken our eyes off of the Lord, taking our eyes off of God, our Redeemer, God will do what is necessary to get us to look to him, to be reminded of his all-sufficiency and our inefficiency. He wants to have a relationship with us and wants that more than anything else. And in those moments where we begin to struggle, in those moments where life is harder than it once was, take advantage of the circumstance that gets your attention, and as quickly as you can, refocus that attention on God, our rock and our Redeemer. Listen, we should learn to walk with God, to trust God, to reverence God, even when things are good. But when things aren't so good, instead of focusing on how not so good they are, we can rejoice in the opportunity we have to be reminded of how good God is. Whatever you're going through today, whatever circumstance or situation you find yourself in, how do you respond when things are difficult? Look to God. Be reminded of how good he's been. But get your focus back to where it needs to be. Not on the circumstance, not on the situation, not on whatever it is you're dealing with, but back to the God who has a plan for your life, who loves you, who wants to have a relationship with you. The God who is the creator and sustainer of everything. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow for another Mighty Oaks Daily Devotional. For more information about the Mighty Oaks Foundation and the work that we do for veterans, active duty service members, and first responders, please visit mightyoaksprograms.org.